I say fuck the man that lives in the sky.
What up, freaks? Crafty here, the Front Row Atheist. Thank you so very much for lending me your ears and valuable time to tune on into that which I be laying down. In addition to my blasphemous heresy, I do like to keep all y'all abreast with social commentary on that thing that we call the freak show unfolding all around us. And of course, when the need arises, don my tinfoil thinking cap to break down and analyze the shit out of any and all conspiracies that have played out either past or present. You know, interestingly enough, just this morning I was thinking about the fact, that it was our own Central Intelligence Agency that essentially created the term conspiracy theory to use as a deflection shield from, well, the conspiracies that they were pulling off. It's all true. Bing it up sometime. It was found out via a FOIA request, and what turned up was an internal memo from, I believe it was 1967, telling field agents to tell all their FOCs, and that's FOC, Friends of the CIA, you know, like journalists, editors, politicians, to break it out anytime someone starts chirping up about an event with anything that strays from the official narrative. Beautiful, ain't it? Conspiracy theory is a conspiracy fact of and by itself. Anywho, hey, so finally, yes, I do have the 411 that I have been meaning to put out to all y'all for a little bit now. And that is the breakdown and take down, the scoop, the poop, the dirty dope, and all the groovy goods on those our illustrious leader chose to surround himself with to make America great full for the days of GW. Never thought I'd say it, but boy, do I miss that little international war criminal. In my opinion, the ABC cabinet, absurd billionaires and creationists, established by the Donald, is probably what we should be fearing the most about his rise to the Oval Office. Worth repeating from my vid a couple of weeks ago, election recap and proof God loves the Donald, I often get the impression that there's a general feeling that the atheist's work is done. You know, again, at least in the YouTube atheist community, and also to an extent in the atheist Twitterverse. I will say, actually, one glaring and beautiful exception to that is old friend and podcast partner, The Atomizer. Currently, you can find him at The Preacher, at Atomizer1 on Twitter. And he is still very much fighting the good fight, or tweeting the good tweet, on a regular basis. Seriously, Atomizer will sometimes be having like a half a dozen different convos going on at once, with full guns a-blazing, and of course never taking any prisoners. Keep it up, preacher man. Anyway, yeah, it's not like it's been abandoned completely by any stretch. But, let's just say I see a lot of my favorites, and some of whom are the heaviest hitters in this department, i.e. Amazing Atheist, Atheism is Unstoppable, Cult of Dusty, all doing way less religion-related vids and turning their attention elsewhere. Well, consider this a call to arms. Just a glance at Cabinet Day Trump, and I would like to think it's pretty obvious that it looks more like an ad for Christian Mingle than a presidential administration. It actually started months ago, right, with his pick for Vice President Mike Pence. Of course, you know the old saying about being a heart attack away from the Oval Office. Unfortunately, Penske's probably has a few more possibilities than most of his predecessors. I mean, Pencer is a heart attack, sniper's bullet, or the wrong pussy grab away from being the head cheese. So, hey, first and foremost, forget Trump for a second. I don't trust anyone with hair like this guy. Geez, it's like Lego hair, right? That just like pops into the skull. I mean, I've never even once seen one of the little fuggers out of place. I mean, just look at these two side by side. Talk about being separated at birth. But let's see where to start with this dinkweed. All right, so yeah, let's do this. Let's listen as a young rep from Indiana gives a speech on the House floor and gives us his thoughts on, well, let's just roll the ugliness. Oh, and granted, this footage is older, 10, 12 years. But I don't think his stance has changed at all. And secondly, take a look at the hair. Shit hasn't changed at all.
And now that we've recognized evolution as a theory, I would simply and humbly ask, can we teach it as such? And can we also consider teaching other theories?
Stop. Stop. Now that we've recognized evolution as theory, when is this from? 1886? There are no other theories, Mike. Intelligent design is barely a hypothesis. I'm going to go on a limb here and guess that you don't actually know what a scientific theory is.
Of the origin of species, like the theory that was believed in by every signer of the Declaration of Independence. Every signer of the Declaration of Independence believed that men and women were created.
Yes, Mike, that's true. That's true. You know why? Because they lived 100 years before Darwin. Holy shit. You know what, Mike? They also believed in slavery. Yeah. And you know what else they believed? They believed that the first butterfly you saw would predict the type of bread you would have. Yeah. And our forefathers would also regularly purge themselves by like bleeding, puking, or shitting, so they would get rid of evil spirits. So what do you think? Should we stick with everything our forefathers believed?
And we're endowed by that same Creator with certain unalienable rights. The Bible tells us that God created man in his own image, male and female, he created them. And I believe that.
The Bible? Oh, for fuck's sake, Mike. Yeah, it also says that animals talk, humans live to be about 900 years old, and, we should be put to death for working on Sundays.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that God created the known universe, the earth, and everything in it, including man. And I also believe that someday scientists will come to see that only the theory of intelligent design provides even a remotely rational explanation for the known universe. But
no, they won't, because no, it doesn't.
Until that day comes, and I have no fear of science, I believe that the more we study the science, the more the truths of faith will become apparent. I just would humbly ask, as new theories of evolution find their ways into the newspapers and into the textbooks, let us demand that educators around America teach evolution not as fact, but as theory, and an interesting theory to boot. But let's also bring into the minds of all of our children all of the theories about the unknowable, that some bright day in the future, through science and perhaps through faith, we will find the truth of from whence we come. And I yield back.
Don't yield back, Mike. Go back. As in, to fucking school. Good Lord Christ. You're as ignorant as you are scary. New theories of evolution. Friggin' dinkweed. One of our elected officials. Simply incredible. The only thing, Pensy, that has changed about evolution over the decades is more evidence has come in proving it even further. Yes, Mike, scientific theory. Like gravity and the germ theory of disease. Scientific theories are based on a collection of facts. Evolution is a fact. Fact also is that we've now had a president, GW, and with Pence, a VP of the 21st century, who do not accept evolution. It is incomprehensibly mind-boggling. His stance on LGB is straight from the Stone Age, or if you'd prefer, we can give him the Bronze Age, as in when the Bible was getting started. Go have a look at the Religious Freedom Restoration Act Governor Mike Pence signed into law in Indiana. You can all read it and research it yourselves, but while you're at it, Google up Kin Park Tang. Yeah, that's a name. KINPARKTHAING. She's a 30-year-old woman who beat the shit out of her 7- and 3-year-old kids. With a coat hanger, no less. Well, she is using the Indiana law signed by our vice president as her defense. Hey, because it's her religious right and freedom to punish her kids biblically. Fuck's sake. All right, moving on. Trumpers pick for CIA Director Mike Pompeo. First, this might be a good time to talk a little bit about all those little things that we Americans have largely chosen to ignore the last 15, 20, 100 years or so. Little things like NSA mass surveillance, the Patriot Act, the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act. Front row fun fact. Front row fun fact. Did you know that President Obama quietly re-upped us for the NDAA just back in December? Yep. When he obviously knew full well who was coming in to fill his golf shoes. Perhaps now, with tiny hands in power and guys like Pompeo heading up the CIA, y'all might be a bit more interested to know that our government can detain citizens indefinitely without charge and without counsel, and for pretty much any goddamn reason they want. What do you say there, my liberal friends? You still okay about Obama making this the law of the land? You still have the warm and fuzzies about Mr. Hope and Change? So here's a guy, Pompeo that is, looking for a holy war because, you know, he of course believes in the one true God and waterboarding. It's true. I actually took that right off his Christian Mingle bio. I tell you, very common theme among all these religiotards in Orange Peel's cabinet. They love their Jesus and torture. It got me to wondering if only Yahweh had this at his disposal back in the day. Abraham! Oh, God. Hate it when he sneaks up on me. Yes, Lord? What can I do for you?
Abraham, I would like you to go and perform some enhanced interrogation on your son, Isaac. I've been told he's working for the Hittites, and I need some information.
Oh, God, Lord. No, not that. Can't I just kill him or something? I mean, that shit is whack.
Abraham!
All right, okay, God. Jeez, you don't have to yell. Jesus Christ.
Who told you about Operation Messiah?
Huh? What?
Nothing. Never mind. Go get yourself.
I think this paragraph from Michelle Goldberg, writing for Slate.com, should tell you about all you really need to know about the pomp. In June 2015, Rep. Mike Pompeo, a Kansas congressman, headlined a God and Country rally at Wichita's Summit Church. Quote, to worship our Lord and celebrate our nation at the same place is not only our right, it is our duty, end quote. Pompeo's speech was a mishmash of domestic culture war callouts and dark warnings about the danger of radical Islam. He cited an inflammatory prayer that a pastor named the Reverend Joe Wright once delivered before the Kansas state legislature. Quote, America had worshipped other gods and called it multiculturalism. We endorsed perversion and called it an alternative lifestyle. End quote. He, back to Pompeo, lamented government efforts to, quote, rip faith from our schools, and then segued immediately into a discussion of the jihadi threat. Quote, this evil is all around us, end quote. Pompeo concluded by describing politics as, quote, a never-ending struggle until the rapture, End quote. Fucking A, fella. Yeah, enough said right there. Okay, who's next? Oh, yes, our Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Ben Carson. And, moving along, Attorney General Jeff Sessions. What's that? Oh, I forgot to talk about Ben? Actually, no, I didn't forget. I just thought his nutbaggery was pretty well established, but, well, no, you insist. It really does amaze me that when young Ben Carson was studying to become a brain surgeon, that the school allowed him to practice on himself. You would think that sort of stuff was frowned upon this day and age. Really, Ben? The pyramids were ancient food marts? Seriously, though, the best part about Ben, he runs for president, and, I'm quite sure that was at the behest of God, but, of course, didn't quite make it. After God thought better of it, no doubt. But when Trump first brings his name up, I think it was for another cabinet position, but regardless, Ben tells the world that he just doesn't think he's qualified to run a federal agency. So, let me get this straight. No problem feeling up to the task of running the country, but running a department? Just a little too much for you? Brilliant. Apparently, though, old Ben feels like he's more than qualified for the Department of Housing. So let's see, 20, 30 years as a surgeon, and of course almost an entire lifetime as a full-blown religious buffoon, which I mean with all due disrespect. Yeah, sorry, young earth creationists get none. But, yeah, that's pretty much his resume right there. And now he's in charge of all the country's housing and urban development? Awesome. Hey, Ben, how are those plans coming along for Detroit? Well, I prayed over it for several hours this weekend, and the good Lord has yet to reveal to me his divine plan, but I expect that'll come any time now. Glorious. Next up, yes, it is Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Let me start with this. Maybe you've heard it, I don't know. It was apparently overheard at the Montgomery, Alabama Walmart. And, I'll just do my best with it, I guess. But, it went something like this. Did you find everything you were looking for, Mr. Sessions? All right, let's see what we have here today. 1 2x4x8 piece of wood, and 1 2x4x6 piece of wood. We got a few nails here. How many nails? Five nails. One gasoline can, and one Zippo lighter. I don't see a price here. Can I get a price check for one full-size white regular queen sheet and matching pillowcase? Thank you. Will that be all for you today, sir? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see the magazines. What do you got here? Okay, On High Times, and the latest boys' life. Okay, will that be all now, sir? You know, in case you're wondering, that came right from BuzzFeed, so, you know, pretty solid source. Speaking of which, and I can't believe this hasn't made the rounds, but also from BuzzFeed, apparently every cabinet member up for consideration needs to take a physical, and they were able to get a snapshot of Jay Sesh from the doctor's office. Let me show that to you now. Woof. Looking cut there, Jeff. All right. Okay. All of this has been very unfair of me. I'm sure Mr. Sessions has no problem with black people. He thinks everybody should own one. No. Sorry. Again. Couldn't resist. Just a little humor there. And, you know, the things he supposedly said were a long time ago. Sure. Hey, sure. Not even 1980s Republicans were willing to back this guy. But really, when you think about it, what are the odds that this guy would even grow up to be racist? Right? Seriously. I mean, let's see. Born in 1940s, Selma, Alabama, to a Mr. and Mrs. Jefferson Beauregard Sessions Jr. Oh, look at that. Jeff is short for Jefferson, and he's a third. All right, so he's definitely a card-carrying Klansman. Jefferson Beauregard? Let me guess, J.B. the First had a nice little house on the edge of a cotton farm in the mid-1800s? Jesus Christ. Interestingly enough, and I don't think this gets him off the hook, but, you know, our Mr. Sessions married a girl named Mary Blackshear. Nope, never mind. Just checked. White as the driven snow. Hey, who knows? Maybe it's pronounced blacks here. As in, the blacks here is coming and run the fuck away. You know, I couldn't seem to find out what his stance is, but perhaps this is a good time to interject that if I were given the opportunity to take part in the confirmation process, it would go something like this. Mr. Sessions, or whose ever turn it is, I do have a few questions for you, but I just may stop after the first one, depending on how you answer it, because it could very well tell me all I need to know. So, could you tell me, sir, how old is the Earth? The Earth. You don't have to be exact, just roughly. But you know what? Let me make it easier for you. Do you believe it's in, you know, the billions or the thousands? Seriously, that's just like the baseline question to see if we can even proceed. Because you tell me 6 to 10K and we're done here. JB3 is most definitely a hardcore Christian nuttisserie chicken. And in his case, no benefit of the doubt. He needs to answer this, as they all do. Sorry. Actually, no. You know what? I'm not sorry. But if you're so blinded to reality as to not accept stone cold scientific fact, get your ass on home. Alright, so lastly, on the Grand Wizard here, sure, the racist and religious stuff is disturbing, but his stance on marijuana? Oh, for fuck's sake! This guy might come along and take away my legal Massachusetts weed before I even get any. Then, my hooded friend, we will have some real problems. Nice pick, Donald. I'm not sure, as is the case with many of your selections, a worse choice was even a possibility. The catchphrase around Trump camp must be BDA, right? Biggest douche available. Hey, who's the BDA for education? Well, actually, let's talk about that. That would be billionaire homeschooling Betsy Davos, of course. Oh, you want me to pronounce it Davos? Well, add another S, biatch. Hey, Bets. Before we get started, why don't you feel the burn, baby?
Thank you, Senator.
Mrs. DeVos, there is a growing fear, I think, in this country that we are moving toward what some would call an oligarchic form of society, where a small number of very, very wealthy billionaires control, to a significant degree, our economic and political life. Would you be so kind as to tell us how much money your family has contributed to the Republican Party over the years?
Senator, first of all, thank you for that question. Again, was pleased to meet you in your office last week. I wish I could give you that number. I don't know.
I have heard the number was 200 million. Does that sound in the ballpark?
200 million.
Collectively, between
over the
my
years,
entire
yes.
family.
And what about prior to
that's
2016?
That's possible.
My question is, and I don't mean to be rude, but do you think if you were not a multi-billionaire, if your family has not made hundreds of millions of dollars of contributions to the Republican Party, that you would be sitting here today?
Burn facial, suck it!
That's right. And now, why don't you try to handle the Liz? That doesn't really. How about the Beth? That's just not the same, is it? The war? It's better. Excuse me, Mr. Bossy? Why don't you feel the wall?
The Secretary of Education is essentially responsible for managing a $1 trillion student loan bank and distributing $30 billion in Pell Grants to students each year. The financial futures of an entire generation of young people depend on your department getting that right. Now, Mrs. DeVos, do you have any direct experience in running a bank?
Senator, I do not.
Have you ever managed or overseen a $1 trillion loan program?
I have not.
How about a $1 billion loan program?
I have not.
Okay, so no experience in managing a program like this. How about participating in one? I think it's important for the person who is in charge of our financial aid programs to understand what it's like for students and their families who are struggling to pay for college. Mrs. DeVos, have you ever taken out a student loan from the federal government to help pay for college?
I have not.
Have any of your children had to borrow money
Good one, Liz.
in order to go to college?
They have been fortunate not to.
Have you had any personal experience with a Pell Grant?
Not personal experience, but certainly friends and students with whom I've worked.
So you have no personal experience with college financial aid or management of higher education. Mrs. DeVos, then let's start with reviewing it. We talked about this in my office. There are already rules in place to stop waste, fraud, and abuse, and I don't understand how you cannot be sure about enforcing them. You know, swindlers and crooks are out there doing backflips when they hear an answer like this. If confirmed, you will be the cop on the beat. And if you can't commit to use the tools that are already available to you in the Department of Education, then I don't see how you can be the Secretary of Education.
Burn facial, suck it!
Oh, damn, Liz. What could have been? Oh, but no. You had to go and be two-faced yourself. And I won't forget, honey, and neither should Bernie. It should have been the Sanders-Warren ticket. All right. So, can I just say something here? I hate Aunt Betsy, the boss. Yeah. All right, so I was voice typing my notes for this, and when I said Betsy Davos, that's what came up on Betsy the Boss. So I'm going to run with it. But she just oozes snobby ass rich bitch, doesn't she? All right, I know my opinion, of course, don't mean shit, but apparently neither does her experience, which is zero. Yet just another Bible trumper. As per a Politico article in December, she once compared her work in education reform to a biblical battleground, where she wants to, quote, advance God's kingdom. I couldn't quite pin this down online either, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that Aunt Betsy the Boss leans towards the earth being in the thousands of years old, with humans and dinosaurs coexisting for at least a few hundred of them, right? At least up until the big flood. Oh, God. Next. Steve Munchkin. Oh, sorry. Mnuchin. Once again with the name, huh? This guy wants me to pretend there's a vowel in there? Well, fuck him too. All right, Steve, you can have Nuchin or Moochin. I'm not giving you the MN combo. All right, so where's this great swamp drainer from? Right, Goldman Sachs. Really went out on a limb there, Orange Peel? No, but Steve is special, though. Let's face it, to actually draw the attention of the law at his level means your criminality has hit epic proportions. I mean, it's downright Caponian. The mooch. Damn, how's that for perfect for the mob? Actually, the mooch earned the nickname King of Foreclosures. I love it too. A New York Post article states something like, the California DOJ uncovered evidence of widespread misconduct at this fugger's bank, but never quite brought any charges against them. These aren't the bankers you're looking for. Move along. The quote from the article, the California investigation, which hasn't been previously disclosed, claims that One West pushed people out of their homes by backdating hundreds of documents and gaming auctions, and, quote, performed acts in the foreclosure process without valid legal authority, end quote, according to a draft civil suit obtained by The Intercept. Let's see. His daddy before him was Goldman Sachs. The mooch was a member of the steeped in secrecy and covered in controversy Skull and Bones while at Yale. Guess I should have said is a member. One does not simply leave Skull and Bones. He swindled billions from Sears workers past and present via their pensions. Ladies and gentlemen, your new Secretary of the Treasury. Okay, I think it's time to pick up the tempo just a little. Front row bonus points to the first freak who puts in the comment section whose song I just referenced right there. No prizes or money, but just my undying respect, which, come on, let's face it, has to be worth at least $1.75. All right, so in no particular order, some of the rest of the brass band are Dan Coates, Director of National Intelligence, Per Wiki, he is a member of the Fellowship, an informal and highly secretive association of Christian lawmakers. Of course he is. Apparently, he's also banned from Russia. So he's got that going for him. Fittingly, Trump picked a man that looks DOA to run the DOA, Department of Agriculture. Georgia Governor Sonny Perdue. We can only hope that he brings a little more thought to the job than he did when drought was affecting his state and the region. Sonny's solution? Oh, you guessed it. Pray for rain. The only solution is rain, and the only place we get that is from a higher power. Oy. Rick Perry, Energy Secretary. Enough said there, I think, right? Jesus Christ. I mean, how did this go down? Energy Secretary? Okay, get Rick on the phone. That guy has always had tremendous energy. Very, very high-octane guy. Always on the go. For fuck's sake. Big Rick, of course, is a 5-star Christian nutso Fagin. Intelligent design in schools. And gays should simply keep their dicks in their pants. Oh yes. He thinks they should just abstain from sex. Gay females, they should, of course, make videos. On the bright side, Rick does enjoy an A+ rating from the NRA. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson jumping Jiminy Key Rice Almighty. This guy, CEO of Exxon, Rex Tillerson. You know, it's a toss-up for me on who epitomizes Trumper's ABC cabinet more. Betsy Davos, or, sorry, Aunt Betsy the Boss, or Diesfargen guy. He started with Exxon in 1975, so yeah, that would put him there 2 full years before it is stated that Exxon officially started to cover up and fund disinformation on the effects of fossil fuels on the planet. Jail? Fact, no. Why don't you just go and become the president's primary foreign affairs guy? Oh, man, it's really like stupid covered stupid. It's like Trump just put the 20-some-odd names in a hat. Make America great again hat, no doubt. But yeah, just, I want these people, give them all a job. Doesn't matter where. Oh, it gets better with this guy. I shit you not. The last 2 paragraphs that Wiki has on him, they're about his personal life. The first paragraph ends with, he is a devout Christian who attends church weekly and teaches Bible study. The second is about how he and his wife, I guess, were or are still in the process of suing to get rid of get this now, the fracking water tower that went up in his town. You cannot make this shit up. For the last 20 years, these frack holes, including himself, have been doing what they want, where they want, regardless of the consequences. One of which being making them all filthy rich. But one goes up near his friggin' house? No fucking way. It's really just priceless. Oh, man, I am so up against it time-wise. All right, I'm going to pick it up even more now through a few more just notables of the historic swamp train. Reince Priebus, Chief of Staff. Nice, Donald. The guy has spent the last 10 years directly up the Republican Party cornhole incredibly outsider of you. Steve Bannon, Chief Strategist. What a beaut this clown is. All right, let's see. Started his professional life at Goldman Sachs. You know, once you go Sachs, you never go back, baby. Stevie Boy has seen 3 marriages all the way through to divorce. And number 2 was especially endearing as he faced domestic abuse charges that were only dropped because, I guess, Mrs. Bannon, number 2, didn't show up at court. Now, the reason for this was because, and this is according to her, so take it for what it's worth, she was threatened. Yeah. The bandman most recently has been running the alt-right news site Breitbart.com and denying that he's a white nationalist and anti-Semite. Tom Price, Secretary of Health and Human Services. You know, if you Google classic old crusty white corrupt establishment insider douche politician, Tom Price is the number 1 search result of 1.6 billion. Wilbur Ross, Secretary of Commerce. Estimated net worth, $2.5 billion. This guy started out in the belly of the beast, working for a Rothschild company. So I think it's safe to say he's pure evil. Andrew Puzder, Secretary of Labor. Let's see, brings home $4 million a year as owner of fast food joints. Doesn't want minimum wage or things like sick leave, overtime pay, but he is in favor of increased automation. Fantastic. Just the type of guy, I'm sure, looking to stick up for the workers of this country. I'm guessing he's not a Marx guy. All right, I think I'm going to wrap it up here with Gary Cohn, top economic advisor. I was getting nervous because to me, just didn't seem like Goldman Sachs was fairly represented in the cabinet. Problem solved. Meet Gary Cohn, the COO of the criminal enterprise. Make no mistake, this guy has been at Goldman Sachs forever and was COO during the whole subprime meltdown. So as much as anyone, this man should be in federal pound-you-in-the-ass prison, period. All right, my fellow freaks, that is it for me for now. I will see you the next time. Hopefully that is very, very soon. Please do all that stuff that lets me know that you're getting your freak on. Yeah, like, subscribe, send it around. And lastly, you freaks be good now. You hear? I'm going to go take a little dip in the swamp.